Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new edition of Africa Today. We get you the latest news and events taking place on the African scene, and we will start off with our major reports and top stories. The Guinean teenager was killed during clashes with security forces at the funeral of an anti-Condé protester. We have the details in the following report.
A 17-year-old was shot dead on Monday during clashes between security forces and protesters at the funeral march in Guinea for victims of violence in recent demonstrations against President Alpha Condé. Violence erupted after hundreds marched in the capital Conakry to accompany coffins of people killed in more than a week of demonstrations over suspicion that President Alpha Condé is seeking to prolong his rule in the West African country. Deaths were reported in mid-October when similar clashes between security forces and citizens rocked Conakry. In September, 81-year-old Condé called on the public to prepare for a referendum on elections, stirring speculation that he is planning to overcome a constitutional bar on serving a third term. The next presidential ballot is due to be held late next year. An alliance of unions, opposition parties and civil society groups called the National Front for the Defense of the Constitution has called for massive protests against the project.
And moving on to Nigeria, twin fires ravaged a busy market in Nigeria's commercial capital, Lagos. The fire started in the morning and became a major blaze by midday, with firefighters trying to keep the flames from spreading. We have the details in the following report.
Nigerian firefighters battled two fires that broke out almost simultaneously Tuesday at a busy market in central Lagos, the country's largest city and commercial center. Balogun Market, where the fires erupted, is one of Nigeria's largest textile markets. Fire service officials said the two fires do not appear to be related, adding that it wasn't immediately clear if there were any casualties. Thick black smoke and flames were shooting up from five-story buildings surrounding the market as fire trucks attempted to get access to the fire. The fire started in the morning and became a major blaze by midday, with firefighters trying to keep the flames from spreading. The Balogun Market sprawls across many blocks on Lagos Island. It is well known as one of the best places in Lagos to buy colorful Nigerian fabrics, apparel and shoes. Fires and other disasters are frequent on Lagos Island, where the Balogun Market is located. In March, at least 20 people, most of them school children, died with the collapse of a three-story building housing a school, residential apartments and shops.
And moving on to Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe has sent 30 baby elephants to China, drawing it from animal rights groups. Zimbabwe has one of Africa's largest elephant populations. It seeks to be allowed to hunt and export more of them to ease pressure on animals' habitat and raise badly needed money for conservation. We have the details in this report.
Zimbabwe has sent about 30 young elephants to China, where they will be held in zoos, according to Humane Society International. The group said the elephants, estimated to be 2 to 6 years old, were separated from maternal herds and held at Zimbabwe's Hwange National Park for nearly a year before being flown out this week. They expressed outrage at the news that the Zimbabwean authorities have shipped the baby elephants out of the country. The Zimbabwe Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals had tried to get a court order to get access to the young elephants to determine if they were receiving proper care. Zimbabwe has one of Africa's largest elephant populations. It seeks to be allowed to hunt and export more of them to ease pressure on the animals' habitat and raise badly needed money for conservation. At least 55 elephants have starved to death in the past 2 months in Hwange as drought dries up water sources and overcrowding results in massive loss of habitat. The park has a carrying capacity of 15,000 elephants, but is home to more than 50,000, as authorities say. Zimbabwe Parks and Wildlife Management Authority spokesman said the country is currently capturing and translocating live animals to approved, appropriate and acceptable destinations within and outside the country. Following 2 visits, however, in 2016 to various facilities in China, a task force from animal rights groups in Zimbabwe concluded they were not ready to receive elephants and that further inspections would be required before any animals could be shipped.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and that brings us to the end of this edition of Africa Today. Many thanks for watching and stay tuned for more coming up here on Nile TV International.